Hey guys, Drifter here. Welcome to Black Ops 2 In Depth. Today's episode is Flashbang versus Concussion, or Flash versus Stun. You'll see me mix up the words stun and concussion a lot. Going to be doing a lot of compare and contrast and show you some things about these two tactical pieces of equipment that you probably didn't know before, even though they're the most popular too. The gameplay that you're seeing in the background right now is me using a silence vector, lots and lots of stun grenades on the map, grind, and I have scavengers so I can pick up and throw even more stuns. This was a very PTFO heavy, very aggressive objective game that I ended up playing. I had a subscriber on my team helping me out. He just hopped in randomly. The other guys really wanted to show me up, and it turned into a very, very good game, and I think I'm going to be showing my best clips from it. To start off with, let's compare deployment times. You can toss a concussion grenade slightly faster than you can toss flashbangs. I thought about leaving this one out, but it is definitely important, especially on the more mobile classes and those very clutch situations where you just have to roll that grenade out. The concussion is going to go out faster than the flashbang, but on this channel you're not here just to take my word for it. I'm going to prove it to you. I've got some footage. This is 1080p Black Ops 2. On the left, I am throwing a stun grenade or concussion. On the right, I'm throwing a flashbang. Unfortunately, I only recorded it at 30 FPS, so it's a little bit choppy, but you can see each time the stun grenade gets out faster than the flashbang. It's not crazy, super hyper faster, but it is a little bit faster, and that might make a difference. The next big difference between these two is how they detonate. A stun grenade or concussion will only detonate after impact. It will never blow up in the air unless you bounce it off the ground or around a corner or up some stairs or something. If you just chunk it, it will never blow up until it hits the ground or some sort of solid object. Whereas a flash has a timer and it'll detonate after a certain time whether it's hit an object or not. That makes the flashbangs easier to airburst. It's maybe a little bit easier to flash check than to stun check somebody, because you know it's a pretty common strategy to throw these grenades around corners, and if you get a hit marker you know somebody's there. A flashbang can burst in the air and pick up more people, but you can also have problems timing it, problems bouncing it around corners, and you can't get quite the same distance as a stun, since the stun isn't going to blow up until it hits something. You can chunk it really, really far, and you don't have to worry about it detonating early. But again, I'm going to prove it to you. Don't just take my word for it, I'm going to prove it to you again. Here is a stun grenade being chunked straight up in the air. It has a slight timer, and after the timer is done, it'll detonate if it's impacted something, but it won't detonate until the impact, so it's not going to blow up if you throw it at your feet or something, but if you're throwing it really, really far, it won't blow up until it hits the ground. We're going to move over to the flashbang, and I'm going to throw it straight up, and you can see that it just airbursts. Like once the time is up, poof, kapow, done. I'll do it again, kind of like if I wanted to flash check the whole area, I would throw it up there and it would airburst, and if anybody was nearby, I would probably know where they are. When comparing effectiveness, one of the easy ways to compare is by area of effect. The flashbangs have a slightly larger area of effect than the stun grenades. They blow up slightly bigger, they're going to flash more people, you're going to suck more people into that radius. The stun grenade's slightly smaller. This isn't like the hugest, biggest difference ever, kind of like the other two. It's on the order of 5 or 10%, but it does make a difference, and the flashes do have a slightly bigger area of effect. The biggest difference between these two is their intangible effects, and this is where I'm going to base my decision on which one is better. The stun grenades very severely restrict movement and ability to aim. When you're stunned, you can't sprint, you can only walk at about 1 or 2% normal speed. You're basically stuck standing still as far as this game is concerned, and you can't aim left, right, up, or down hardly any. Higher sensitivities help a little bit, but you're stuck more or less aiming straight ahead, and you can correct your aim a little bit, but you're not going to be able to turn around or turn left or right too much to save yourself, and you do get some visual distortion. The sights shake really bad. You do get some bright lights, some annoying sort of screen shake if you're close enough, and it's very, very effective. The only weakness to this is that it doesn't hamper your vision enough to kind of blind you to the enemies. So what I have a tendency to do is I'll throw a stun grenade around a corner and I'll get a hit marker thinking, oh man, I got this guy, and I'll jump around the corner, and it just so happens that the person is already aiming down the corner, and because there is no visual restriction or distortion, he's just able to spray and kill me very, very easily. But a lot of other times I'm able to throw a stun grenade into an area and lock 3 people in place where they can't turn around, where they can't turn to the side, where they can't get out of the way, and I can hose them down really quickly. Flashes are almost exactly the opposite. They severely hamper vision. When you get hit by a flashbang, your whole screen is going to flash white, hence the name flashbang, and it's going to stay, and there's a filter layer, and it's very difficult to see what's going on, and it's going to slowly fade away. And it's also going to restrict your ability to aim and move a little bit, not nearly as much as the stun. When you're flashed, you cannot sprint. You cannot sprint while flashed, but you can still walk, and you can still look and aim left and right more or less normal. It's like 90% of normal instead of 100% of normal, but it's still very easy to aim and control yourself, but you're not going to be able to see anything. Because of this, sometimes when I flash people, they are able to run around corners, or if I didn't hit them quite good enough, they still have a good feel for where I am and they'll spin around and spray me. But a lot of other times, if I hit them really close, if I get that maximum effect, because the closer they are to the grenade, the more effect it has, they can't see crap. They have no idea where I am. At the end of the episode, you're looking for which one is better. These are two very, very well-balanced tactical grenades. Each one does something kind of opposite and inverse to the other, and not in too extreme of a manner to one is clearly better than the other. However, I prefer the concussion grenades. I prefer the stun grenades. I prefer to lock people in place. I typically flank a lot. I run silencers. I don't like to do the cowboy quick draw, shoot somebody in their faces, and even when I do, them being stunned helps because I can step slightly to the side and they can't shoot me. I do occasionally get killed because I stun people and run around the corner and they're already aiming, but more often than not, the stun grenades are more helpful to me and my team than the flashbangs are, and you see a lot of pro players using stuns, and that's what I recommend, but the flashbangs are definitely very good. What you need to do is decide how you want to hamper the enemy, if you want to airburst or if you want to bounce around corners, and how fast you want to throw them, and once you've got answers to these questions, then you know which one to choose. Well guys, that's all for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you learned something useful. If you'd like to check out my previous episode on awareness and dead silence, you can click the box on the left. That'll open in a new window. The next episode is going to be up to you. I want you down there in the description to tell me what you want an episode of In Depth about, because as of right now, I am completely and totally out of subjective topics. I have covered every single perk, every single piece of equipment, every gun, almost every attachment. Everything technical about this game has been covered in depth, and I'm going to be moving into strategy. Got a lot of different ways to do it, but I want you guys to make some sort of strategy recommendation for me. Also have an app down there in the description, the class building app. You can check that out. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.